Today, I wanted to discuss what RFK Jr. said about autistic people destroying families and all that sort of stuff, but I also wanted to discuss what other people are saying in response to him because I'm not thrilled about that either. As an autistic person myself who is medium support needs, unfortunately, a lot of people, even when trying to have an argument against what RFK Jr. is saying, they're still valuing someone's existence on whether or not they work, whether or not they pay taxes, whether or not they need assistance with using the toilet and all that sort of stuff. And that bothers me because there are autistic people who struggle with those things or can't do those things, but that doesn't mean that their self-worth is lesser than an autistic person who can do those things. And I'm also just seeing people straight up deny that autistic people do struggle with these things, or deny that there are autistic people who can't do those things. And this is a problem because then we're ignoring part of the autistic spectrum. For example, I saw a comment yesterday saying no autistic person struggles with motor skills and no autistic person needs assistance while using the toilet. That is not true. I struggle with motor skills, especially my gross motor skills, to the point where I have had 3 concussions in my life because of it. My most recent concussion was a little over a year ago, and it was a result of me trying to lay down in bed, but I ended up hitting my head on the headboard instead of my pillow. I've made videos about issues with motor skills before, and I will continue to because it's not talked about enough. But I also need assistance sometimes to use the restroom, although it's a little different than what that person is talking about for me in particular, and this is just me. Just some of the ways that I personally need assistance with using the restroom, though, is that I will sometimes need reminders to go, because sometimes I just straight up forget, and I can forget for over an hour that I need to go. There's also times where, for some reason, my brain is just like, I don't want to. Because that just doesn't sound fun. So then I just put it off sometimes for more than an hour, which is not good. There are other things, but yeah. And that's not taking my other disabilities into account, since I do have other reasons why I need assistance getting over the restroom, but that's not related to me being autistic. And once again, this is just my experience. There's other people that need more assistance for their autism than I do with using the restroom, and there's also people who don't need any assistance at all. And that's just how it is. So denying that people struggle with these things or need assistance is also bad when trying to make a case as to why what RFK Jr. said was wrong, because then you're leaving out other autistic people, but you're also probably going to be making people feel bad if they do need assistance with these things. Just to give more examples, something else RFK said is that autistic people cannot work as a way to value someone's life. And again, unfortunately, I have been seeing some people respond saying that all of us can work full-time jobs and how much we can thrive in our jobs and all that sort of stuff. And although it's great to acknowledge the people that can do well and that can work and all that sort of stuff, it's also important not to leave out the autistic people that can't work or struggle to, or can only work certain jobs, or can only work part-time, or can't even work part-time. And that acknowledging that even if someone can't do that, that doesn't mean that their life has less value. And that's not just specific to autism, because there's other reasons with disabilities why someone might not be able to work or will struggle to. Autism is something that for me makes certain jobs either really difficult or just straight up not possible, and that's just how it is. I do have other disabilities getting in my way, but I'm mostly going to be focusing on autism for this video. When I could work, since now I'm not working, I used to cantor at 2 different churches, which if you don't know what that is, basically for the churches I was singing at, I was the only person singing. We didn't have a choir. There are churches that do, but my church didn't. And I was getting paid to do that. Just sing throughout the entire mass. I would only do that, though, for weekend masses or any sort of special holidays like Easter Vigil, Easter Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Ash Wednesday, that sort of stuff. I did also used to do musical theater, but that unfortunately wasn't paid until 2020. I finally got my first paid show. I've talked about this a lot. Of course, that got canceled for obvious reasons, but I used to be able to do that. I did at one point get hired at Starbucks in, goodness, I think that was 2021. I got hired. I made it through the interview. I made it through the first day of just filling things out online. That's as far as I got, you guys. I didn't even start training. And my physical health issues weren't really what was getting in the way either, only a little bit at that point in time for that. So, yeah. Like I said, I currently am not working. I want to, because I have seen some autistic people saying, oh, they're just making excuses and no one likes working, but autistic people all can work. No. I miss working. Especially theater. I am so sad that I am not doing that right now. I miss that so much. It was an important part of my life. So I feel like not everyone understands that there are people that can actually enjoy their job, which is a whole other topic. But, yeah, I have worked with the Department of Rehabilitation multiple times with multiple people, and I'm about to start working with them again. But when I got long COVID, that took the few things that I can do away from me, or made them even more difficult than it already was for me with not only my autism but my other disabilities. And that is something that unfortunately RFK and all these people are not putting their focus in. They're not putting their focus in trying to prevent long COVID in people. They're not trying to help with treatments. No, they're cutting treatments, and that's once again a whole other topic. But my point with that is that there's something that is actually causing people to not be able to work. But yeah. Going back to what I said about the Department of Rehabilitation, though, they all have said that I'm too disabled to work unless it's something like voice acting, where I just don't know how to get into that world. I want to do that. I just don't know how. And they don't know either, unfortunately. I have also been told that I would be able to do social media if I can actually get monetized. I'm not monetized yet. I'm working on that, you guys. And then the other thing I was told is that I could be able to do things like sell pins with my art designs or stuff like that, which the first person told me, oh, that's super easy. You like figuring out Etsy and that sort of stuff. No, no. My brain cannot comprehend that. I need step by step walking me through how to start that. One of the other people I worked with the Department of Rehabilitation said, like, oh yeah, that's not something that's super easy. We can help you with that. So that is what I'm trying to do. But now, of course, the tariffs are a problem. But anyways, trying not to get too off track. My point is that there are jobs that I might potentially be able to do even with my chronic illnesses, but unfortunately, I am more limited because of the autism, and vice versa. So, but does that mean that my self-worth is less because I'm currently not working? No. Does it hurt seeing people, including other autistic people, think like that? Yes. There is one other section I did want to discuss in this particular video. There are so many other things I could say about this whole thing with RFK, but a lot of people are already covering that, and not enough people are covering this sort of stuff. But there are autistic people that are defending RFK. I have also seen autistic people just straight up say that level 2 and level 3 autistic people fit what RFK is talking about, and that the only autistic people that are valid or worthy or whatever are level 1. And that makes me feel terrible because I'm not level 1. If you say those things publicly, think about how it's going to make the other autistic people feel. And just all this stuff about how level 2 and 3, they deserve answers as to why they're autistic. It's just so, it's just so frustrating. Instead of focusing on trying to have easier access to testing and easier access to accommodations and all that sort of stuff, no. We're focusing on answers as to why we're autistic. And just like all this sort of stuff. Yeah. I don't like this. And we're in Autism Month too, you guys. I could keep going, but for the sake of time, I'm going to end it here. Hopefully this video actually makes it up. Hi, it is me from the future. I apologize about that last bit. I lost the video, but not the audio, and I don't know how to get it back. I've been trying the last few days, which is why it's taking me so long to get this up, but I decided I might as well just upload this anyways. I also apologize that the rest of the video was filmed vertically. It's because I initially intended to upload this on TikTok, but it was quite a bit longer than intended, so it's on here instead. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.